What is up, everyone? Hello and welcome back to the Lazer Grand Arena. We're getting closer and closer to the absolute peak of the tournament. Even so, we're seeing still some very peak matchups here now and later on today. And we're starting off this wonderful Saturday, well, maybe not this wonderful Saturday, depending on your time zone. For me, this is the start, but hey, my Saturday at least starts off with a pretty incredible matchup in mrekk and Welter. This is, shockingly enough to those who are very big fanatics of mrekk, this is the losers bracket. These guys are actually facing elimination in this tournament, and so stakes could not be higher. Welter formerly falling to his opponent in Atkins, and mrekk falling to Xylus earlier on in the tournament. So these guys have something to prove. These guys want to continue this run up as far as they can. I'm Shiba, joined by this one guy who has joined in last minute, so thank you, Aaron. But how are you doing regardless?
Doing well, thank you, and excited to get the opportunity to hop on this one. You know, it's an interesting spot. Like you said, you don't expect to see a matchup quite like this in the losers bracket. mrekk in losers at all, and Welter having dropped down as the number 3 seed, so bit surprising, but perhaps, you know, able to take what they learned from their losses earlier in the week and apply that to this match, and hopefully looking forward to a really closely fought competitive affair here. I have to think that given their skill sets, this should be a pretty good match.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. I think if we're talking generally matchup-wise, I think Welter's just generally going to have a much more difficult battle compared to his opponent in Atkins, but it does come with a small caveat, in honestly a little bit more in a vain way. But mrekk mrek's main blunder in this tournament has been his issue with practice. We haven't been seeing him really take as much time into the pool, and that's led to some picks kind of making him unexpected. We've seen that, you know, firsthand when he was in his match against Xylus, and that is unfortunately his loss, as it led to him being a lot more unprepared for a lot of other maps that initially he would have maybe seen himself playing a lot better. Maybe this time is where his lesson's going to be learned, and if that is really the case, I would be very, very scared for Walter's odds right now, considering he had just lost against Atkins, who had played very, very well yesterday with a good amount of practice, so God knows what mrekk could do with practice. We'll have to wait and see. As it seems like Hidden One is going to be the first opening pick alongside these bans of Protects.
Yeah, it's the Hidden One Protect, and into first pick as well from mrekk. Let's see, just peeking through here, we got the Hidden 2 Nomad 1 bans from Welter. We got... Wait, that's got to be backwards. That's got to be backwards,
DT1,
right?
DT2 ban from mrekk.
That... surely this is backward?
Is that real? I need some updates from Prod.
I don't know. Well,
that.
I guess I could see it makes sense. Like if mrekk is comfortable with, you know, all of his skill sets and you know, his well-rounded ability on the pool, then I guess I could see it making sense. If he, you know, if you feel that Welter is going to be super good on the mechanics stuff, ban it, like the mechanics tapping stuff, ban it out, because you're mrekk, you can play anything the pool could possibly throw at you anyway. I guess that maybe is the approach there. It's been a little interesting to watch the strategy develop over the course of this tournament, so maybe that's just one more fork in the road that we're going to be taking the unexpected direction.
I mean, to read a daunting "it's real" from production in chat, that alone makes me think they're telling the truth. And so, yeah, very unexpected to see that, especially in DT1. DT2 maybe you could see, but DT1, no way. It seems like that is going to be the case, and mrekk is going to be kicking off with a very unexpected, generally speaking, Hidden 1 pick. That being said, I'll change the fact that he's looking pretty solid on this one. Accuracy very close and even, and finally a full combo from mrekk is going to be taken away in this first KI time, but not really like Welter's been having as much fun either. He's also been struggling quite a bit. In fact, been seeing a lot of accuracy, and soon to be a miss. That Bancho miss there, thankfully, still being evaded. But yeah, this anti-aim on this map is really brutal. The snaps are kind of all over the place. You have to effectively just you have to do a lot of damaging things to your wrist and your aim hand when you're trying to hit these patterns correctly, and it can be really, really scary for some players, especially with that extra addition of that hidden and reading. And also with that, this map is a marathon, nearly just 2 seconds under 5 whole minutes long. And so you've got plenty of time to see things change. We're only about a third of the way through, and it seems like mrekk is only eking out a small lead so far.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of players have really struggled to develop the consistency on this pick, because it is so challenging with those anti-aim and some of the linear patterns as well. And even like the kick slider patterns in these KIs can be a big challenge, as you see right there with Welter breaking right at the start of this KI in this next chorus. So yeah, it is a lot of just trying to get settled into the map and kind of become comfortable with what it's throwing your way. And despite this being, you know, in terms of skill set, kind of a surprising pick perhaps from mrekk, you can see where it's coming from. He's up to a 60,000 point lead, despite not having a lot of combo. Welter having more trouble, the worse for wear, down by 1.5% accuracy, and with not a whole lot of combo to speak of either. And we all know how good mrekk is at aim, right? So this is just a subset within that, and in that light, makes a little more sense. 65k lead, about halfway through. We'll see how he does in the back half, and see if mrekk can take a big lead on his own first pick here.
Yeah, I mean, slowly but surely, mrekk's been gaining and gaining this lead. You saw it initially be about 20k, and it hasn't been super sporadic. There hasn't been any dramatic advantages in any other category, aside from score, which has always been an uphill battle for Welter, and the mountain gets taller and taller the more the map runs by. It feels like mrekk is just slowly bleeding him out in this map, and it makes sense. This is a long marathon. This is a difficult map to hold on to at a consistent level. But generally speaking, both players having a little bit of a mutual struggle. What really changes here is the general average in full combo and also accuracy. You notice now, Welter with that conceding miss, almost down now over a whole %, which is making mrekk's combo matter so much more towards this ending. And with 1.5 minutes left to go, still having so much more time for mrekk to build. If he has this entire KI with this little burst coming up, this section is particularly difficult, and mrekk is still going enough to continue gaining this advantage to even more degrees, higher than we thought before. Welter finally now being down a big advantage. Thankfully, mrekk will subside in that combo game, but it doesn't change the fact that you still have 85,000 score to overcome in the last minute of the map, and this last minute is not the most dense, so it feels like this one is going to be all but over. Maybe an attempt of some free combo towards the end to give you a slight suppression of the incoming score disadvantage you'll run into, but nonetheless, a pretty solid run here from mrekk.
Yeah, the score from mrekk going to be pretty solid out of this one. Looks like he'll be able to build near enough to a 100k lead. Just the superior consistency over the course of the map, as you talked about. He was able to establish some combo where Welter fell and just keep building up little leads by little lead. And into the ending, spinners will go. And it's just going to be about 90,000 points in the favor of mrekk coming out of this. So it's a sizable lead, but it's not an insurmountable one, right? If Welter has a good pick to respond with, he can make that up. But it's a good enough job by mrekk putting up the 730k score. Realistically, it feels like this lead could have been 1.5 to 2 times bigger. It feels like there are opportunities for mrekk to really run away with this map, and he didn't quite take advantage of them. But he is still going to be able to take a decent lead into map 2 of this first set. 93k, that gap. And yeah, just a good job. 5 misses overall, maybe some slider breaks in there as well against the 16 misses of Welter. Aim, perhaps a skill set that mrekk might feel pretty good about in this matchup. Will have, at the very least, the Hard Rock one available if he wants to keep with the aim later on in the match. But instead, it's just going to be Welter picking the Hard Rock one, so what do I know? I wonder if this is legit or if this is a little bit of a throwaway pick. We're going to find out, because it felt like Welter struggled with aim, and he's picking directly into just straight-up aim.
Yeah, I mean, Hard Rock is one of Welter's fortes, right? It's a bit difficult to really point down how this map specifically works out, because yes, in that hidden one, it was a little bit of struggle on aim, and it wasn't the most consistent on the aim maps against Atkins, despite having some decent moments of glory. But Hard Rock is known to be one of Welter's signatures. If it isn't tech, it's Hard Rock, and obviously Hard Rock's biggest steal requirement is in that aim, and so Welter, even if falling on that hidden one, seems to be willing to go into this himself. This was bad last time against him from Atkins, and with that being left open now, has given Welter an open opportunity, which in my mind implies he's willing to combat this set and still try and keep it alive. Generally speaking, you have to see the confliction between whether or not you want to sacrifice the set by getting rid of one of your opponent's strong picks, or just go in and try to fight back harder than they did themselves. And so it's a difficult debate that Welter really has to be going through, especially against a player like mrekk. It's difficult to make those decisions on the fly with such a limited time frame to make those picks come true, but it seems like Hard Rock 1 is going to be his bet, and this doesn't surprise me as a map to try and win back the set, as Hard Rock is one of Welter's most signature, most beloved skill sets that he's been so well known for. But even against mrekk, it's a difficult challenge, it's daunting. And with the first gear coming through, combo game in his favor by a good degree, accuracy as well, and really strong favor here of Welter. The higher the scales, the stronger the score lead will become with this combo that he's got. So that's going to be a match made in heaven, especially with that miss coming through from mrekk.
Yeah, a couple of breaks in the first third of the map already from mrekk. There is the corresponding miss from Welter, however. So that's going to slow down his ability to build up a big lead. A couple misses coming out of that first PI. And remember, he has to make up 93k. He got already 50,000 of that back in that first minute and a half of the map. He was doing all of the work he needed to bring it over his way overall in the set. But that now is going to head a little bit toward mrekk's way. He's brought this score gap down to about 40,000 points. So the work cut out for Welter here in the back half of this pick, looking to try to build a 94,000 score lead in this map. Is going to be a tough task. We'll see as they build into the next chorus. It's a slider break from mrekk, followed by a miss, and the lead goes back the way of Welter on the combo. Still has that massive accuracy advantage as well. And just like that, back up to 55k. This is doable for him. He's got to keep holding, but it looks like it could be a feasible comeback here for the Russian player.
There's a pretty big fair point here coming through out of mrekk, having conceded multiple combo advantages now. It's starting to get a bit scary. Welter will go down though, and that's really helpful. However, you have to still keep in mind of this accuracy from Welter. 99.4 is going to scale really high later on into the map. If you can keep up with combo, you are still going to continue gaining and gaining score over time from that accuracy alone. So at this rate, it's just a matter of whether or not mrekk will step up in the last quarter of this map. Last minute left to go as the break is shown. Welter knows he needs to still gain over 40,000 score, and mrekk does have the upper hand with this combo. Any slip up here in this final ki can really, really matter. Also still has good enough combo to maybe still continue the score lead, but now he's gone, and that might have just lost him the set as mrekk is not letting go, hitting the big peak jumps off the map here. These wide angles are ridiculous from mrekk. Still holding strong, still keep it going past 400 combo, and now it's almost secured. In fact, he might even win the map itself. 22,000 score, not going to be enough to get the flip, and so set 1 will be taken by mrekk.
Was able to do what he needed to in especially the second half of this map. mrekk maybe even bringing this over at the very end with those misses from Welter. Wow. And indeed, as you said, will be able to win the map itself as well as, of course, the whole set. Ends up with just over a 102k score lead, and that's 1-0 for mrekk over Welter. It was a pretty good pick until it wasn't, is kind of how that feels. Welter with a sizable advantage through the first third to half of the map, but mrekk just kind of locked in the back half, and especially that ending was able to hold so much more combo and avoid the higher miscount in the last minute or so. And that is a solid first set win for mrekk, with picking his own protect and taking the first pick from Welter as well. Good start for him, but Welter has the first pick in the second set, and he's going to open it up with the hidden 3 here. So he will be holding on to his own protect for at least a little bit longer, and instead we're going to go into the hidden flow finger control test in this hidden 3 of Egoist. This is such a sick map. I love watching this one played, especially by guys at this level. The performances we've seen on this map have been remarkable.
Yeah, this is a fun map to see. I mean, it's not necessarily what you would expect as like a techie map. It's very much more just a simple flow aim, wiggle, rhythmic control, which is so fun, like you said. I mean, Welter and mrekk have both, I believe, played this map before to relatively decent success. mrekk with 700k and Welter with 800k. So it's a very close margin of error here from both players from their previous matchups, with mrekk conceding to Xylus despite the score that he had. And Welter ended up taking down Akins on this map by about 100k, 102,000 score exactly. So this is a very exciting map. I think, granted, still slightly in the favor of Welter, as generally speaking, I would see this map still favoring him, but every single time you think of on-paper matchups, if your opponent is mrekk, you have to still raise question marks on it. You still have to slap an asterisk onto anything like that, because it's mrekk. And if he's practiced this one, if he's taking more time into it, it just seems like, honestly, he has. This is a scary thing to be dealing with right now. You have to still try and gain a strong advantage going into mrekk's pick afterwards, because mrekk, granted, will definitely be willingly picking some of his bigger strength. I would not be surprised to see a map like Gendarmes being picked after this, or maybe even another hard rock option, depending on how he feels. This, though, so far, so good here for both players. No miss just yet. In fact, accuracy is off the charts here. That's being held on from Welter in this first control section. mrekk not too far away himself, only dropping 1 or 2 100s in the meantime. With this, some snaps, some rapid wiggles, some sliders. Still not a miss just done yet until there. Welter is going to be going down, and mrekk will take that lead and will maybe even take it in stride. This ki time is consistently hit as the ramp up starts to come up. This might just be a huge advantage. mrekk is going to be able to gap over this one, because he's still not letting go of his combo, and accuracy as well is still phenomenal, even if it's slightly inferior to Welter. Welter's combo game is going to be the downfall of him, as mrekk will not let go of this combo.
mrekk doing to this map a little bit like what we saw from a couple players last night. It was like Secret Box Xylus putting up crazy scores on this in their matches. And mrekk not to be left behind in the discussion of who can perform the best on this particular pick. Absolutely crazy run thus far to hold the FC9 with, I think that's maybe 300 or 400s. Now drops a couple more right in that pattern, but it is more than enough. He's got a 120k-ish score lead here with about 50 seconds left in the map. We'll see if he can continue to build that up. You do see Welter recovering a bit. Still has a pristine accuracy, right? 99.3 ac for Welter is kind of what's keeping him from falling even farther behind in this. But mrekk continuing to hold the FC. Another break there from Welter, and mrekk is just going off. Like you said, man, even if it looks like on paper it might not be his best map, he's still the best player to have ever picked up a pen and tablet, and he is capable of doing crazy things. Finally, the miss comes out, but it's nearly a 200,000 point lead for mrekk, and this is on his opponent's pick, remember. This is Welter's pick, and this is mrekk just running away with it, and he's going to have quite the advantage here heading into his own pick in this set. Just 10 seconds left. It's a 175k lead. This is very well done to mrekk, even with the couple breaks here at the end. He's going to have built himself a comfy advantage.
168,000 score in Score v3 for Lazer is really, really good for mrekk here. And this score alone is ridiculous. 931k is very, very strong of a start in the second set. Only 3 misses and spectacular accuracy. Even if matched by Welter, doesn't mean much when the combo game is so strong in your favor. And mrekk is going to be continuing on the stride with the finger control, but not in the same essence as this hidden 3 that we've seen. It's going to be the DT3 coming in next, Dependence Intention by mrekk. This one is going to be your rapid high-off finger control map with the general flowy ult that is quite similar, but not as rhythmically intensive, I'd say. It is a 1.2 times multiplier on the speed, 240 BPM, and it's pretty quick.
Pretty quick indeed. This is an absolute banger. I'm a big fan of this pick. This is one of the real awesome uses of Lazer, having the ability to do these raid ups instead of only just the 1.5 XDT gives you way more options for pooling, and you get super, super cool alt DT picks like this one. Almost takes me back to something like No Good Magia in last year's World Cup. There's some vibes of the flowy alt going on, obviously very different song-wise, but that sort of skill set is something you don't always get to see, and it is almost always exciting when it does get picked and played. Notably also relatively short feeling, like we're already 50 seconds in and there's barely 2 minutes left. So this is going to be over pretty quick. Just the speed of the map itself, right? It has that up-tempo feel to it. And it is Welter with the early advantage, but he has so much work in front of him to try to bring this back. This is the beauty of being up 168k from the first map in the set, is that Welter has to win this by that margin, and that is a tough ask. Already halfway through, only has a 38,000 point lead. It's going to be difficult unless mrekk gives him a lot of help, unfortunately. Though he may put up the best score of all time on it, it still is going to be so much work to have that deficit equalize out. So we'll watch and we'll see, but so far so good. And not anymore, though. That probably just lost it for him right there, I think.
Yeah, that could be the case. I mean, we haven't seen either of these players play this map before, at least from my knowledge of this and looking at the MP links. So not having the statistics there is a little bit of a concern point here, at least for Welter's point of view, right? Because you want mrekk to at least be a little unconfident on the map like this, or even if yourself having a little bit more practice in tournament, but no, not the case. And so with the advantage Welter initially had being shut down so quickly, that might already be the last nail in the coffin as control, although a little bit easier now, I believe is going to get a lot harder getting later on into this. Like you said, a little bit similar to No Good Magia in terms of its types of control and types of slow aim, and mrekk is just proving why he was, in fact, one of the strongest, if not the strongest player on No Good Magia in the US World Cup Grand Final against the United States, and he's proving that this control is still no pain for him at all. 99.5% accuracy with nearly now a 4-digit combo in his hands here. He might once again be going up to absurd degrees, as I believe, unless I'm wrong, he hasn't missed yet. He hasn't dropped his combo. This combo is really, really high with about 15 seconds left to go. His score is skyrocketing, and mrekk is just not letting go of any of this here. How on earth has he kept this on? I mean, it's the best player in the world. It's probably the greatest of all time on top of that, and it will be I believe that is a reverse choke.
One miss,
miss from mrekk. Back-to-back 900Ks in this set is just dirty.
Yeah, that is a really remarkable back-to-back map performance on those two picks, man. You just do not see that happen too often on this pool. I can count on one hand, if not even less than that, the number of times we've seen a player put up back-to-back 900k plus scores across this week. And mrekk just does it with ease. He makes this game look so simple at times, but it is absolutely not. And man, what a performance that was. And there's the 2-0 lead. I mean, 360k, dude, jeez. Really impressive performance. mrekk, it feels like he's maybe righting his errors, righting the wrongs of his match previously. He has practiced the pool a bit. He's picked up his level, and 2-0 lead, his own pick to come. He's gonna go Nomad 2. It's shredding time, boys. We're going 200 BPM, endless streams.
Here we go. This is honestly as simple as it could possibly get. You see the map on Mazarin, and even then it is more easy to understand than most other Mazarin maps. It's simple. Stamina and flow aim. That's it. That's all you gotta know. Non-stop, untouchable 200 BPM. Constantly. For a long time. This is basically a 4-minute long map. AR 9.7 CS 4.3, 200 BPM, 7.7 stars Nomad. And honestly, this is just... I think probably one of the more consistently difficult maps, if not the most consistently difficult map. It just doesn't stop. The only thing that really increases from what I remember is the flow difficulty. Everything else is basically the same.
Yeah, we love a little just consistent high star rating Nomad 2, man. Shoutouts to Mazarin. Shoutouts to God, what? I'm trying to remember if this map was actually played, like the diff that was in OWC a few years ago. I don't remember if it was actually played in that grand final. I almost feel like it might have gotten banned out though. But we get to see it here. We've seen it played a few times in this round, and we've seen some very different levels of performance from the players who have been in for it. But it's double FC so far, so both these guys appear to have the comfort you need at this BPM and stamina requirement to play this all right. But there's a lot of map in front of them. I mean, only 700 combo in. Yeah, there's the first break from Welter. Let's see what mrekk can do with that.
If there's any kind of variation that you're going to be seeing in this map is some of the flying patterns. You can see some of them go from shorter chains with bus sliders in between them into these long cut chains that very much jump scare you in terms of the curvature changes, and mrekk and Welter are doing a decent display, but that miss from Welter earlier on is going to really hurt as mrekk is still tearing this map apart. I mean, this BPM is honestly just cakewalk levels here for mrekk. He can hold this on for hours, let alone for this long of a map, so it's more just the flow and consistency to be a challenge. It's more like whether or not you won't really fall asleep during this one. I feel like this is just too easy of a pick here for mrekk to end off this final set on, with Welter missing again, and the flow aim still getting a bit more difficult now as it starts to increase. Starting to get a bit more concerned here for Welter's odds, and in fact maybe a little worried to a harsher degree, knowing what mrekk is capable of, knowing that mrekk is just slaying this map with no remorse. Not a punch pulled, not a stone unturned. No mercy here from mrekk.
No, none at all, man. He wants to make a statement on this pick, it looks like, and he is not letting up at all. Do not give an inch, young lad. It is a 120,000 score lead, and we're only halfway, just past halfway through. And there's another couple breaks from Welter. Its score lead is just going to continue to grow. You know, at some point, it's going to become insurmountable for the next set, or for the next map. Like, it's just not going to be feasible because this lead is going to be so big if this keeps up. Welter's got to lock it in for the last minute of the map if he wants to even have a chance on his own pick here, because mrekk is making this look easy. It's 99.5 AC. It's still the full combo. It doesn't matter what kind of flow aim you throw his way. It doesn't matter what kind of stamina requirement you throw his way, because he is one of the best tapping players there's ever been, and he's just going to show that to you. And man, oh man, it's 220k. Shiba,
yeah.
I don't know that there's going to be anything left for Welter to pick that he can ever possibly make up this gap on, unfortunately. This is just a masterclass from mrekk, and this is going to be disastrous for Welter's chances.
Oh man. You can only just sit there and watch and kind of feel a little bit of dread if you're trying to get any kind of support for Welter. You know, when you're against the best player to have ever graced the game, it's a bit difficult, especially in his prime, it's a bit difficult to really comprehend how you can do anything against this. I mean, especially with now the more sporadic pattern coming through, the more sporadic flow aim, it only gets harder and harder from here. And Welter, although I'm sure not too struggling with the accuracy, this is indeed going to be an FC from mrekk, and that's just an impossible deal. What do you do against that? Like, it's kind of just a thing you have to look at and just bluntly accept and pretend it doesn't exist, because this ending stream is not going to be much for mrekk as the FC is coming through. It is
Oh my
3
God, man.
900Ks in a row, with this one being one of the best we've seen yet. 99.59% accuracy, 1500s on a map this dense is absolutely disgusting.
764 PP casually. That's probably not even in his top like 500. Just mrekk things, man. And that's a 314k lead. Listen, it's a preemptive GG because I don't care what you pick. You can't make up that much score. Like, it's just not feasible. He just ended the match right there with that pick. It is very, very over. So we're going to get to see Nomad 4, and we'll see what happens. And, you know, Welter, if anything, kind of playing for posterity here, right? Has not won a map. The heartbreak of the Hard Rock one that he lost by about 8,000 points in that first set, the closest that he was able to come. But mrekk just back-to-back-to-back insane map performances, and this is, as we kind of discussed, right? This is what you expect from mrekk. You don't expect the performance that we saw from him against Silas, though, not to take anything away from Silas, who played very, very well. mrekk played at a level far below what we generally anticipate. This is a little like what you expect out of him, and this is a bit of a victory lap now. As we head into Chronokinesia, it's the last map of this match, unless mrekk, I don't know, sets his pen down right now and just walks away. That's basically the only way for Welter to win this map by enough to take this set and go on to a fourth. So we're just going to let this kind of play out and see what happens, right? Because this is basically all over but the crying at this stage. Maybe another FC from mrekk, maybe a double FC from these guys. Why not? Let's have some fireworks.
Let's wait and see. Last time these guys played Chronokinesia, mrekk would concede to Silas with a 534,000 score, with Welter having about 621,000. So about 100,000 score difference in favor of Welter in terms of the last times they played this, but that's not what you need. You need 300,000 score. And with score v3, that's a near impossible disadvantage to come back from. If you want magic, if you want to believe in some sort of deity to carry you through this, you need it more than anything now here for Welter, facing the barrel of elimination in best set, in down a 300,000 score. You need so much hope, and even if mrekk is going to go down, Welter effectively has to FC the rest of this map, and mrekk needs to collapse. This is still a good performance here from mrekk, holding through that full combo with good accuracy to contest Welter. If this is close, that's all mrekk needs. mrekk can lose. mrekk can just let go and still win. At this rate, you need about 700,000 score to guarantee 100% your odds of winning this. And considering that Welter's already missed and that mrekk is taking the lead now, it feels nothing but all but over. This map being consistently difficult through and through leads to some very difficult requirements in that consistency. Slip up once, and if your opponent is still keeping that flow state intact, you are screwed. And mrekk still holds on with 1,000 combo, 1,100 combo now, and gaining as he's hitting this next section into the snappy bits, and this just gets more and more dire for Welter. Feels like he's just watching everything crumble before his own eyes.
I think, you know, he watched everything crumble a little bit on the Nomad too, and then this is just adding a little bit of insult to injury, because what do you mean mrekk only needed to not lose this by 300k and instead he's gonna FC it or something, right? Like, he just is out for blood today. He came in maybe a little chip on his shoulder, right? Frustrated by what happened in his previous match. As they say, woke up and chose violence. And man, oh man, this is just a ridiculous performance. How about 4 maps in a row with 900k scores? Let's see it happen here. Finally the break, so maybe not possible now, but does have 40 seconds left and some tapping and aim control left in the ending, just to put the cherry on top of this match, just to put a bow on this gift for the viewers of this remarkable performance throughout this match, man. And like, you know, shout out to Welter. Obviously don't want to take away from the fact that he obtained the number 3 seed and got to this stage, but mrekk is just making this look altogether too easy, because what are we seeing? Just amazing performance after amazing performance.
Yeah, no doubt. The guy's been doing some fear-mongering for his opponents soon to come, as Welter unfortunately on the wrong side of history. Of the very, very few goals that mrekk needs to further set in this game to become one of the most decorated players in tournaments would be one of them, and LGA is no exception. Granted, the US World Cup is his biggest magnum opus goal that he wants to get through, but this tournament is one of big proportions too, and I think mrekk knows that after his loss to Xylus, he wants to continue his reign on many different scenes, many different areas, and this one being no exception. Mrekk destroys the competition, and Welter is only one of his few victims that I'm sure we're going to be seeing later on, as although the opponents he's got left are starting to run down a bit, Malashevsky will be waiting for him later on in the tournament if mrekk keeps this momentum, because honestly, this performance was absolutely amazing here from mrekk. And speaking of Malashevsky, next matchup is going to be Malashevsky and Flying Tuna, which will be a spectacular matchup to watch. So you've got more and more bangers here at Lazer Grand Arena today, so don't go too far away. But regardless of that, what a great win here from mrekk. Really dominant against Welter.
Yep, righted the ship. Things have normalized back to status quo for mrekk, establishing himself as a dominant force, possibly going through the rest of this tournament. Excited to see what will come in his remaining matches. As you said, Malashevsky versus Tune up next. That is that's the second semifinal. The winner to face off against Xylus in the winner's bracket final. mrekk continues on. I think, if I'm reading this right, he gets Secret Box in his next match, tentatively scheduled, I believe, for tomorrow morning. It's scary stuff. It's difficult days because we have nothing but amazing players and amazing matches left to go. So definitely don't want to miss out on any of them. 27 minutes from now, Malashevsky Flying Tuna. Watch that match, guys. If you watch one match out of what's with the rest of your day, make it that one. Show up for that because it's going to be a banger. I believe Shiba's going to be back for that alongside possibly Doomsday in the casting booth. So you get some goated commentators for it as well in about 27 minutes. For now, I've been this one guy. He's been Shiba. Congrats to mrekk. Commiserations to Welter dropping out of the tournament, but a good performance nonetheless to this stage. And we thank you all for watching. See you in about 27 minutes, the remaining winners bracket semifinal on deck after the break.
See you soon. Bye.
It slipped right through my fingers. You said
喉を締め付け乾いた季節思いにふけるノリに浮かぶ思い出の雪再会を予期してた That's sweet memory 待つことに慣れすぎて痛みさえ感じないの麻痺してる焦がれてる刺激が太陽がまた求めてる視界ゼロの中あなたと繋いだ手のぬくもりが恋しくて今日もどっと降り積もる雪にそっと手を伸ばして白闇を愛せるよりマイナスの世界で踊り続ける遠く意識に悪魔の手招きホワイトアウトお揃いだった頃の顔に捨てられすぎる黒のゴーパも頭の中ももう真っ白で愛にしもういくの愛にし伝えたいあなた好みの服を着てあなた好みの趣味始めてあなた好みの日常で溢れているかなさよなら言わないで視界ゼロの中あなたと繋いだ手のぬくもりが恋しくてとうとうと降り積もる雪にその手を伸ばして白闇を愛せるよりマイナスの世界で踊り続ける一度の望みをかき消すノイズと遠のく
fuck up.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Lazer Grand Arena, one of the best you can see in terms of our future in the OS tournament scene, with Lazer starting to be implicated into our tournament scene, and this time more and more amazing players throughout this great tournament, with week 2 soon coming to an end. Alongside the tournament, we've still got some crazy semi-finals action into our grand finals in this tournament. And this one is an arguable matchup for grand finals, one of the best matchups we've seen in this tournament. It's Malashevsky and Flying Tuna, one of the greatest tournament players to ever grace the game, against another one of the greatest tournament players to ever touch the game, who also is the reigning LGA champion. So we've got some crazy matchup coming up next, and I can't wait to see which players can do the work. I'm Shiva, joined by this time the wonderful Doomsday.
What's going on, Shiva? Glad to be back on. Looking at the way the last matchup on this pool went for these two, of course they both won it, but the score head-to-heads look real good. If it's anything like that, this one should be pretty damn close. I mean, Flying Tuna, of course, is the defending champion. You mentioned it. Looking to defend, well, the first ever defender of the crown. But Malashevsky, seed number 1, the tournament final boss. He's been sweeping everyone so far. He hasn't lost a single set yet. And he's had to go through Taquito and Decaton and Rinse to make that happen. So this guy is on a tear. But Flying Tuna does look very competitive on paper here.
First time in this tournament that Malashevsky will be facing a non-American player. I'm sure that's a little breath of fresh air for him. The Americans aren't there to bite him back. It feels like, kick him enough and they won't get up anymore. And now it's the Koreans that are after him this time. Flying Tuna, a very daunting opponent, easily one of the candidates to make it into the grand finals. You see Xylus, having taken down Akens, is waiting in that final spot for his opponent between Malice and Flying Tuna. And then you've got the opposite side of the bracket as well. The side of the top 4 is this matchup. But Flying Tuna is still in that winner side bracket, so if this is a loss for either player, they're still going to be surviving, at least for a while. But it doesn't change the fact that this is some pretty heavy stakes and some pretty epic proportions. Win this match and you're guaranteed top 3 at the Lazer Grand Arena, and that's a good title to have on your shoulders. So we'll have to wait and see who goes through. Like we've said, these guys have been unstoppable throughout this tournament, and the only blemish on their runs respectively is a single set loss on the side of Flying Tuna against a Secret Box, which in all honesty I feel like is probably the most respectable set loss you could have lost to, considering how well informed a Secret Box is in this tournament. So I wouldn't let that really dissuade you at all, because this still could be really close. I think Tuna's probably one of the most, if not the most notoriously comfortable Lazer players in the world. When you're against the literal golden goose of this tournament scene, it's an exciting matchup to say the least. And with the bans already coming through, this looks pretty hyped already. Malashevsky getting rid of DT1 with Flying Tuna getting rid of Hard Rock 2. I think some good respective, bans, keeping clear of each other's slight extra strengths, despite how similar they both are.
Malashevsky's been going into a lot of the streamy stuff this tournament, which I guess might sound surprising, but week 1's stream map was more on the technical side. But then again, Malashevsky also picked that Bal Sagoth No Mod 2, which is raw Mazarin stream. So I guess the one thing you can usually poke at as being one of Malashevsky's weaknesses, quote unquote, he's been picking a lot of. He has been getting stuck into the tapping. Flying Tuna probably is the better tapping player on paper though. So those remaining DT maps, particularly Mythologia's End on that high rate change, which has been protected, is going to be a good spot for him, you think. But the thing I'm excited about this match is these two are gimmick enjoyers. So I can't wait to see that laser mod maybe. I can't wait to see Fat Lip, the low AR hidden, the low AR no mod. There is a big chance we see at least one of those, hopefully more.
Yeah, and both of these players are dedicated. They are very much practicing everything they have in this pool. They are analyzing every resource they can use throughout this match, and the bans and protects are pretty indicative of this. I mean, Malashevsky protecting Egoist. This is honestly, in my mind, a double-edged sword protector for Malashevsky. This is a map that both players are exceptionally good on. So it's like, it's a risk, right? Maybe use this in a chance for momentum, maybe using it after carrying off of a strong win of a previous map similar to the likes of Egoist, like, for example, DT3, or maybe even another option like the Hidden One. It depends. There's a lot of versatility with this protecting system. And with the last bans coming through, we've locked it all in. Hard Rock 3 is going to be locked away from Flying Tuna, which in my mind at least is probably the safest ban you could go for against a player like Tuna. I feel like Hard Rock 3 is in that beautiful middle ground of Flying Tuna's specialty where it's not too precise, but it isn't. It's so close to your main strength in that ult consistency. And so that being a ban out is solid, with Hard Rock 1 being the final ban for Flying Tuna. Hard Rock is completely out of the picture. All 4 no-mod maps and all 3 hidden maps are still open, which in my mind just opens up so much more excitement.
Yeah, we are definitely going to be going down Gimmick Alley with this one, but not just yet, because it's No Mod 2 first. It's going to be the Mazarin special. Any Cthulhu enjoyers here?
I mean, this map is just brutal. it's merciless in terms of its mechanics and its stamina. 200 BPM streams that are literally non-stop. The only thing that mostly changes are some of the chains and some of the flow aim. Aside from that, for the most part, it's practically just consistent non-stop streams of 200 BPM. And yes, although both of these players might not be too intense on the stamina, when you amp up the flow, when you amp up the nerves, when you amp up the slight tension in your wrists when you are trying desperately to hold on, it can sting, and it has stung players in the past. That being said, we have seen some exceptional scores on this map, most notably from mrekk just half an hour ago against Welter with a reverse choke. No, it wasn't a reverse choke, it was a full combo on this map from mrekk, which was just absolutely disgusting. And Malashevsky has proven to be the Reaper on this map for other of his opponents in Takedo and Takeda respectively. This time though, Flying Tuna, although not the stamina player, could still be able to fight off at least a little bit in combo game.
Well, Malashevsky was talking about how, you know, streams on Lazer feel a little bit weird for him, and yet he first picks it anyway, so yeah, we'll see how his not so good tapping does on this. Last time it got him 550k, and he picked it last time. Tuna didn't play this last time, but his tapping is usually pretty good. He should be competitive on this one, but we'll see.
I think the difference that I like to establish from both of these players is that although neither of them are truly proficient in stamina and the highest degree of speed, what breaks them apart is that although Malashevsky is not the accuracy player, he very much can combo game at very high BPMs. He's managed to FC over notorious speed players on maps that go as high as 260 with still full combos in his hand even if the accuracy is low. And for Flying Tuna, I often find it to be slightly more of the opposite. Less known for his stamina, but much more well known for his ceiling. And so this map, I'd honestly see, in my mind at least, to be a Malashevsky favored map purely of the instance that Malashevsky can at least hold strong on the combo game, let alone currently this really strong act that he's holding on to. We're less than about halfway through, and Flying Tuna will drop first blood in the combo, which although it isn't the most significant disadvantage yet, is going to scale to huge proportions if Malashevsky can hold on to about 1500, if not higher combo.
Even though combo game isn't as strong as it is unstable, it is still very strong, and with another break there from Tuna, that sets him back further. Finally the FC drops. The accuracy is about the same, but the combo difference, giving him about 50k. It's not a lot, but it's there.
Yeah, and this percentile accuracy lead as well is also quite present here for Malashevsky. 50,000 score lead now in his favor, with both players now respectively dropping their combos. Back to even grounds in that regard, but that 1% accuracy lead is really helping out Malashevsky to slowly but surely gauge this lead further and further. If Flying Tuna is to miss soon, combo game is going to start scaling really heavily for Malashevsky considering the higher accuracy he's got right now. And stamina is going to start dwindling here for Tuna. It's not going to be long until maybe these chains get a little bit more difficult when you may see some chain misses or chain act drops, which could be a big bite in the backside here for Tuna, as it's still 61,000 score in the favor of Malashevsky. If your goal is to not concede by a big margin, you're doing a phenomenal job, but it won't be long until that axe starts to tick down, and we're seeing it already. Flying Tuna now from bordering 97 to bordering 95. It's starting to get a little scary here for results of holding on to a significant margin to not give Malashevsky too big of a lead, because right now it's gaining closer and closer to 80,000, and maybe even more with the higher flow aim to come through as these twists and turns back and forth, round and rounds do the wheels of the streams as Malashevsky still isn't letting go, with the flow aim still ramping up. The act goes down, but it's still the combo game to maintain here for Malashevsky, as Flying Tuna is going to be struggling, losing more accuracy, losing the combo that he's earned, and 1,000 score is eclipsed once again. 1,000 combo is once again eclipsed for Malashevsky, as so does that 100,000 score barrier.
Flow aim is finding some shakes, I think, on Flying Tuna's side, because the accuracy shows it's pretty close to Malice, but he's much more locked in on that flow aim, making much more use of that combo. But he's not going to get too far away, but now we're looking at about 120k of lead. Now we're getting into pretty meaty advantage territory here, and it's only going to keep increasing, it looks like, as we get to this ending here. A spaced 200 BPM bursts, nearly having follow points there. It's kind of crazy at this level, but both players dealt with that section pretty well, actually.
Yeah, and now it's just that small little death stream, which won't be an issue for either player, but it doesn't change the fact that Malashevsky has just under 130,000 score difference, and that's a strong advantage. Not an unwinnable one, but someone that's very, very daunting considering your opponent is Malashevsky, I would be very frightened here for flying Tuna in this first set. It's going to be a question of whether or not he wants to go into his strongest map first, or he believes he can outshine on this advantage.
Interesting take there from Flying Tuna. He was mentioning he almost feels like he prefers having note lock on the streams. I guess maybe kind of helps him keep locked in on the flow aim, right? Keep things consistent, which, I mean, each to their own, but interesting to hear that from Tuna.
Well, that is actually one of the points that we've heard a lot from Lazer, at least recently, where players often seek perfection in the way they play. And I think this was very well displayed by mrekk, who is one of the best, strongest speed flowing players in the world. And if not the best speed player in the world, I think it's pretty easy to say the best speed player in the world at the moment. But
yeah.
He said, one of the reasons why he hasn't switched to Lazer yet is because no lock in stable keeps holding him to a high standard, keeps him going to play perfectly. And maybe that's one of the slight backfires that comes to being committed to Lazer in certain tournaments and certain times, right? Maybe that's something that Flying Tuna was referring to, where maybe it led to him being a little bit more sloppy in his perfection flow aim. And
maybe, yeah.
This pick has made me very confident that he's not going in, giving up on this set. It's going to be Altitude Remix Lazer mod. This is, in my mind, absolutely a strong Flying Tuna map.
Let's go. Depth mentioned. My absolute favorite Lazer mod. Traceable's a close second, but Depth goes so hard, especially on maps that are very heavily bursty and maps with lots of symmetry. This one has no much symmetry, but lots of bursts. Low AR bursts. It's a low approach rate reading map. And on Depth, you'll see how it goes, but the way it affects the notes, for some people it can make it easier to read like the cut stream gaps, to read the rhythm a little bit more. Very much a subjective thing, of course, but the difference is, of course, on Depth, it's such an unusual visual to keep track of, and I do wonder how players manage that in a tournament setting. It's something I've never seen before. It might have been done before, but I've missed those matches. Can't wait to see how people deal with this weekend.
Yeah, I am really excited for this one, because if you practice this well enough, both of these guys are formidable reading players. For those who don't know what Lazer mod is, for Lazer Grand Arena, it is a exclusive mod for this tournament, where every single week you have a different kind of Lazer mod implied with the gimmick of this map. It is a gimmick in nature. And so with that, with these two really strong gimmick players, you can have different skills, different possibilities implied, but for the most part, reading is the main thing to look out for. And this Lazer mod being used is Depth. Every week you can have different mods come through, and this time it is going to be Depth, where the circles will kind of come at you in a more, I mean, you could say in a deep way, but it kind of comes at your face, similar to kind of like the squares coming through in Beat Saber. And with that being said, it's a much more awkward type of reading, where things feel like they're moving a bit differently, a bit more weirdly, and so that takes extra practice, and both of these players clearly have put in the practice, as so far, so good for both sides at the moment. The full command being held. This map, Altitude Remix, being used as a hidden 2 for mrekk's Grand Master Cup, a tournament known for having the most stacked 1v1 pools and players we have ever seen. And so this map holds high standards when it comes to reading on its own, let alone with this Lazer mod attached as well. And despite this being Flying Tuna's pick, it seems like he's struggling here, dropping first combo down. Malashevsky will finally drop in exchange, but has a 30,000 score lead in his favor halfway through.
Accuracy is pretty similar, but Malashevsky comboing through so much of that hard section where the cut streams go kind of nuts. But at least Flying Tuna held on to his ACK, meaning it's not much of a difference. That said, though, with him having to pull back 130k to win this set, it's looking pretty dire for him right now. Malashevsky looks like he should have done just enough at the moment. Look at the sliders, though. That's the one thing about Depth. The sliders move as you follow them, making the tracking even stranger. And on bus sliders as well, at the edges of the screen, they move pretty far while that bus slider is going. It's a very odd feeling, but super cool on the right map.
Yeah, and I think Altitude Remix is a good example of it, right? You don't have any particularly longer sliders here. This is quite short, but it's those chain patterns that kind of move as you flow into them. It's really, really interesting. And that space bit there is going to be hit from Flying Tuna to maybe the catalyst to bring this back. You still need a giant lead, though, and you only have 20 seconds left to go. And with that miss, it's all but over. excuse me, it's all but over. I think Malashevsky has done all too well here against Tuna to contest him well enough to still keep that set going. Flying Tuna would have needed a win of over 130,000 score to keep him in this set to win, but it's not going to be the case. Set number 1 is going to convincingly go to Malashevsky, who will in fact still win against Flying Tuna's own pick. Over 150,000 score will be the final difference in favor of the Polish.
5 miss in the end for Malashevsky. What a play from him. What a great play from Flying Tuna. The gimmick maps are going to be a real show in this matchup. I can't wait to see them because they are still open. But first blood on the gimmicks go to Malashevsky, and first blood on the sets goes to him too, winning both of those maps in the end. Not much on that gimmick one though. Very close in the end.
Well played there from Malashevsky. Small update I noticed here from chat. Somebody who is very well acquainted with Flying Tuna notes that this was actually meant to be a throwaway pick here. So not intended to be an actual win for Flying Tuna, which does surprise me because I feel like this would have been one of those really good maps for Tuna, generally speaking, but you're against Malashevsky, and so maybe with that extra knowledge in your back pocket, maybe that makes a lot more sense, and well done for Flying Tuna. Locking away one of the really strong picks of Malashevsky's and having still quite a few options around does make a lot of sense. Although, had I not been told, I would have not have known this. I would have guessed this to be a no-holds-barred pick here from Tuna. But still good to see nonetheless that we get to see a laser mod being picked. This is one of the most banned sets one of the most banned mod sets in this tournament. Feels like we almost never get to see this being picked through, but this time with a new set, new Flying Tuna, and it will be the DT2 being picked up.
It's going to be the Protect in his second set then. So in the middle set, he's going to be going for his strongest map, try and build a really good advantage and make Malashevsky respond to that. Malashevsky's already picked a very tapping-heavy map though, and that went pretty well for him. I think that was more of a flow game difference though. Tapping-wise, both players holding similar AK on that Balsagov map. Doesn't say too much about the tapping, but on raw speed, when you get this quick, I think Flying Tuna should be in a better spot. And with it being his Protect, he must know that.
Yeah, this is one opens up a lot of potential here for Flying Tuna. Although this is less heavy on the stamina in some cases, it's a lot heavier on the speed, and it is a bit of an older style map as well. This is from Val0108, a mapping legend from as far back as 2012, who made maps similar to Scarlet Rose. Probably one of the most legendary old maps of all time, and this one being no exception. Mythologia's End, a huge map known for, at least now in modern day, starting to just recently be taken over by DT specialists in the solo leaderboards, but in tournament it's still a little too difficult for most players, and so we're only going with the careful 1.3 times multiplier instead of the full 1.5, and still being said, proven to be a very brutal test for many players in this tournament, and Flying Tuna is going to be the one to try and harness this mechanical power into this next set. But unfortunately for him, not a good start so far. Early miss coming down with also a strong accuracy deficit of nearly a whole 1.5% here, as Malashevsky's full combo still remains intact.
The early break there, holding AK though pretty well still, Flying Tuna, but Malashevsky holding their tapping well as well, nearly 99%. This is a 254 BPM speed. It's about 8 stars in the end once you calculate it up, and certainly Malashevsky's tapping has been on point in this tournament. Really getting into a lot of it on his own picks as well. I think the practice is paying off though, seeing some of these performances from him on tapping.
Malashevsky! Oh my word! The whole ki! The whole ki, lad! Absolutely beautiful, man. Thankfully for Flying Tuna, although that full combo is being hit, he's managed to hold his footing to really good degrees here, recovering in the accuracy game to now actually be in even deals here with Malashevsky in terms of accuracy. The combo is the pain point here. Still very high in number, 4 digits now for Malashevsky as he still continues to hold. Flying Tuna effectively has to hold on to an advantage in accuracy and maintain his combo for as long as he can. You need Malashevsky to slip up. You need him to falter. But if there's any player that you can't expect that to happen to, it is Malashevsky, as this next guy is soon to be approaching. This is a scary prospect. The triple still cleanly hit from both sides. This is crazy, you're right. These guys are popping off on this map. With the fastest streams coming through, the hardest burst still hitting, but Flying Tuna will go down. And that might have just been the last nail in the coffin with 2 minutes left to go. Malashevsky still not letting go of that full combo.
Still holding 98.5 as well. The accuracy for Tuna now is higher than Malice, but the combo difference is making the difference here. 1K combo and he's still losing. Malashevsky is going off right now. This is an insane play already. You would not expect it from Malashevsky, I suppose, on raw tapping, but that's just how he is in 2025, man. This guy's weakness is no longer a weakness on the basis of this.
Oh yeah. So beautiful, man.
This is so sick.
It is gorgeous to see. You know, Malashevsky, I think, although was never famous for his tapping, so versatile, so flexible on everything. Ooh, dropping the accuracy there. Still not too big of a concern for him, as that combo game is still remaining intact. Like I said, the guy, no matter the BPM, can still combo game anything if he really wants to. He's done so against the likes of players like Henry on tournaments of the like of Corsair's Closed, finals to grand finals levels. We've seen him do absurd magic on speed, even if it isn't to perfection. What matters to him is that if he can hold on to those, hold on to the combo, that's all he needs, and he's proving that once again. An effort from Flying Tuna to get that accuracy lead, working to good levels, but not enough to stop the full combo from Malashevsky, who will end up full comboing Mythologia's End. DT 1.3 times speed. It is gorgeous. Not even players with the likes of Atkins could do something like this, and Malashevsky does it beautifully.
That is a spectacular score. I really want to see what the PP record, the PP score on that was in the end. I imagine that was probably challenging that score from mrekk earlier. Must have been pretty close. What an absolute player though from Malish. Actually insane. On his Protect as well. Flying Tuna has to pull back 200k on Malice's pick now. Good luck.
Yeah. This is gross. This is gross. We've gotten confirmation from our friends in Internal. This is a 651 PP play in Lazer, which in my mind, honestly, is a bit of a robbery, to be honest. This feels like a much higher PP score, because that was truly disgusting. I don't know how Malashevsky could get away with something like that, but he does, and he always pulls up some sort of magic from a hat. I don't know how he does it, but he does it regardless, and that has opened up a disgusting advantage here from Malashevsky. 207,000 score is really daunting for Flying Tuna to be dealing with right now. And it's not even like Flying Tuna has been weak in this match. He hasn't had a single score that's under 600k. That is really good, man. But when you're against Malashevsky, it's a similar deal to Welter against mrekk just like an hour ago, where Welter had no score under 600k, but mrekk had 3 900ks in that match. Maybe even more if I remember correctly. And so what can you do in this scenario but just hope for the best, hope you can win on your biggest straights? You know Malashevsky's more favored on gimmick, you know Malashevsky's more favored on tapping now. What do you do except just play what you are most accustomed to?
I mean, I think the only real hope here is to pick something where you think you can get an FC or near FC and hope Malice gets a choke on it, really. I think that's the only way this works, because counter-picking Malice is a fool's errand. It's going to be the hidden one he goes in, the Magdalena Bay. What a tune this is, by the way.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's such a banger, the bass line. Oh, it's too much.
It's a really nice song to contrast with all the chaotic rhythm game music we have in LGA. A much older song, but much more beautiful and chill in its essence. But the map couldn't be further from the truth from chill. It is a brutal anti-aim test, especially during its KI times, where you have to do a lot of nasty things to your aim hand if you want to hit some of these sections cleanly, because God knows these players are not going to be ready for this. No matter how much you practice, some of these aim patterns are just gross. Some of them turn in and out on you. Some of these just go round into really sudden, abrupt snaps, and it's long. It doesn't stop in that regard. It's 5 minutes long. It's gonna be a marathon for these players. Into this first KI time, Malashevsky will drop first blood as these snapping patterns are up to Flying Tuna to hold on to. Accuracy, though, a really big disadvantage for him so far. Maybe not having the best of starts. 95 to 98.3 in favor of Malashevsky, but combo game is up there, and soon the flip will come through as long as he can hit these next few snaps here. Flying Tuna not letting go of this combo so far.
Well, so far, so good for Tuna, but with this Ki, yeah, a bit more to go on it, really, to try and bank into that slightly easier section after. His Ak is down, but he can still combo game it. Another break there for Malice does open the door, and Flying Tuna gets through it. I think he needs more act drops though on side of Malashevsky. That accuracy is making a big difference. What a miss though from Flying Tuna.
No!
That stings. That has gotta hurt. Now his chances are much lower now for taking this one.
That's a heartbreaker of a miss there from Tuna. And that might have just eliminated Zoz in the second set. I mean, what more else can you say to it? Hit the hardest part of the map and something slips, something goes wrong, and you miss at the most easy, typical part of the map that you would expect. And as it now starts to ramp up, another miss is going to give Malashevsky a much more dominant combo advantage going into this next KI time. More snaps, more insane anti-aim patterns. Sometimes, like, I just can't believe when I'm watching sometimes. I mean, some of these are so disgusting. But Malashevsky will still continue holding on. Flying Tuna not too far away himself, but his accuracy disadvantage is making this bleed for him. I mean, he's going to have to expect so much more. He's going to need Malashevsky to collapse, and on a map like this, can you really expect that? Malashevsky thrives on these skill sets. It almost thrives on everything, but this particularly, the guy loves aim, the guy loves gimmick, and the guy damn straight loves his hidden. And so with Flying Tuna, it's just a lose-lose no matter what. You just have to hope you can pull some magic out of a hat and hope that Malashevsky will slip. If there's anyone you expect not to, it is Malashevsky. This guy is the greatest tournament player to ever touch the game. I said it, and I stand by it. Absolutely beautiful dominance every single match this guy's played in this tournament against the likes of players like Decade and Takedo, and now Flying Tuna, and he misses as I finish off the little glaze. Thank you. Chat's going to be laughing at that one. But goodness me. What a good run he's had so far. Flying Tuna, though, has not let go. And he's got this last KI to at least build something up. But he needs a staggering 220,000 score in his favor alone to win this through. And we'll have to wait and see whether or not that will happen. Another miss from Malashevsky. But as that miss from Flying Tuna comes through, that's all done and dusted. Set 2 will go to Malashevsky in solidly convincing fashion.
See if you can maybe steal this one back by the end. But yeah, the miraculous comeback on this ain't going to be happening, unfortunately. The damage on Mythology's end was already done. I guess going for the high consistency focus map, a super long aim map, it was brave. I guess he must have known that there was a chance he could have done something on it in terms of an FC. But unfortunately, it hasn't happened, and the accuracy certainly didn't help him. I guess it's going to be a case of picking himself up. He's still got a lot of good maps on other sets upcoming, though. So certainly plenty to work with, but he's going to be down 2-0 against the first seed here, who so far hasn't really put a foot wrong in this matchup. Even on this map where he's found a few misses, that accuracy is still impeccable, and it keeps him in the game.
Yeah, with Score v3, it's important to note that it's a little bit different in the means of calculating the scores. You know, generally speaking, Score v1, combo game is king. Score v2, combo game is still kind of king, but actually has a little bit more impact. This one, a lot more 50-50. Combo has a lot less value, even though it's still an important thing to look out for, right? Generally speaking, if you have a significant accuracy advantage, you can mitigate combo advantages coming through from your opponent as long as you are at least keeping up to a decent level. And that's been part of the name of the game here on this tournament. And Malashevsky, once again, is not only taking advantage here on accuracy, but also in combo. I mean, the guy's just been dominating on this map. And even with a really valid attempt from Tuna, especially in the latter half, with really strong performances towards the very end, it wasn't enough to eclipse that staggering 200,000 score difference. And so it's going to be set 2 for Malashevsky, with 261,000 score being the difference at the very end. I feel for Flying Tuna, as that miss that he had earlier on was, in all honesty, might have just been that nail for him. And one of his strongest maps, most likely now, is eliminated.
That miss was tragic. Getting through that first key line and then missing on air, that's just how it goes sometimes. And on aim maps, you kind of just have to take the bad with the good. But in the end, I think Malice did enough to hold on to that lead either way, really. The accuracy would have done a lot of work. I think even if Flying Tuna was close to an FC with that AC maybe. That's just me spitballing, but seemed like that was a tough one either way. But Flying Tuna now, he'll have the second pick in the next set, and SSU will kick us off on this one. But it's going to take a big pick when it comes round to Flying Tuna to try and claw something back, because Malashevsky still has his Protect open if he wants to try and lock things out with it. Yeah,
I wonder what's going to happen. I think these next picks are going to really be what matters here, because you need something strong to come through for Flying Tuna. And it's going to have to be a pick alongside that's going to be something that's going to be really even. And I don't know how to feel, right? Because you've got Egoist, which is Malashevsky's Protect, which, granted, you need to also know, for this tournament, Protect implies that your opponent cannot pick it. So Malashevsky could either be using this as a third ban or pick himself. And honestly, this is like completely 50-50. But Malashevsky's going with the no mod 4. Hold on, which one is it going to be? Is it? Who picks what? It's Malashevsky's pick. So he's going to...
Malashevsky's pick, yeah.
He's going to pick one or the other.
Flying Tuna's getting in his head. You want to pick Hidden 2, he says. And it worked.
It works.
I think it worked.
Is it going to work? I mean, both Fat Lip and Chronic Ninja are maps for both players that are really, really strong. And it's going to be Fat Lip, Hidden 2 to be picked up from Malashevsky. Last time on Altitude Remix, Malashevsky was the superior player, but this one is a lot more traditional to what you would expect for both these players to know. It doesn't change the fact that this map is still really gross in terms of its difficulty.
Yeah, it's a tough, I guess, aim-focused AR8 hidden pick, but it is full of hard overlaps and deceptive overlaps as well. So it does have a strong reading element as well. Can't wait to see it played by these two. You have two great players to showcase a map like this. The aim side as well, they should be quite locked in on low AR hidden aim. It's something that they are, well, they've shown time and time again how good they are on that one. But this one knocking about 6.5 star on the mechanics side. The difference might just be how they manage the overlaps and the reading side. I guess we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, this is a conniving map. It's difficult through and through, but for a multitude of reasons. I mean, first off, that approach rate, this patterning, it overlaps with you back and forth. You've got perfect stacks. You've got patterns that follow through into each other. And so it is a brutal, brutal reading test. And with this map, in all honesty, practice makes perfect. You can be a really good reading player, but if you don't know what's coming at you before you play it, you're not going to be able to process this accurately. And even amongst that, even amongst two players that I'm very certain have practiced this and prepared for it, we are still seeing some early slip-ups on this map, with these overlapping sliders, overlapping jump patterns being a little bit too complex sometimes every now and again for our players. It's still looking very even here, with Malashevsky dropping the most recent drop. Flying Tuna now starting to potentially gain up a good advantage here. Accuracy effectively dead even. This combo game is what's making the difference here for Flying Tuna.
I'm moving through that first key eye very nicely. Malice just dropping a couple misses on some of those overlaps. A couple misreads coming from both of them so far. Can't blame him on this map. The perfect stacking as well really doesn't help. You don't even have the stacking element to get you through some of these overlapping patterns. It's just all about reading the fade in, just knowing the map really.
And you can notice off some of the jumps here, they're like going back and forth where it feels like once the pattern ends, it goes back to a previous note of the pattern, and that's just gross. Like right there, you notice that vertical spaced linear section going back into the center note. That's an example of what this map has to offer in spades, and very different kinds of patterns as well, not just that alone. It's brutal. But with the break coming through, Flying Tuna starting to establish a bigger lead. 55,000 score now as he starts to gain it. Gonna have to be more though. Knowing Malashevsky, you need this advantage to continue gaining in your favor. You can't afford to let it slip up. This combo game is effectively beautiful here from Flying Tuna. Although a slight disadvantage in accuracy is not going to be the big concern for him. A bit awkward here on the linears and repeats the patterns, but it's not going to matter until Flying Tuna drops. And now Malashevsky has the chance to bring this back and mitigate the advantage he's been gaining. In fact, it's by big margins here. Now that he's got also the accuracy in his favor by a whole percent, you can see the score leader going quickly to the red corner. And for good reason. Malashevsky still hitting everything here beautifully.
Section is actually one of the harder ones in the map in my opinion. No problems all here for Malashevsky, but Tuna also only getting one miss through that. It does feel like it's been a battle of almost consistency, or the odd misread from both of these two, because both of these scores are incredible scores, honestly, for this. But 99% is something else for Malashevsky. At least it's his pick. So there is that. There is that.
I don't get it, Malashevsky. I don't get it. 880k on a map like this, I don't know. You have 800,000 score for Flying Tuna, and you still lose by 72,000 score. How does this happen? How?
Mate, that's
So
the level we're
gross.
dealing with, mate. 10k on this beats anyone else. It beats anyone else.
Oh
Apart from maybe
man.
Keto. Or maybe Xylus could probably do that as well. But that is an incredible score, but Malashevsky he's seed 1 for a reason.
Down straight. I don't know how else to really put it there. We had a bit of hope, didn't we, Doomsday? We saw Flying Tuna establishing about 60,000 score lead, and then that miss was the thing that ended it. It broke the camel's back, and it just soared in favor of the opposite side. So much so that it eclipsed the advantage Flying Tuna peaked at in that map at around 60k, and now 72k on that other map. It's time for the number 4, Chronokinesia. Do or die straight to the Flying Tuna, as this is one of his bread and butters.
The gentleman's agreement in chat. I'll pick Hidden 2, and you'll pick No Mod 4. Fair play. End of the word. But it's another map that, in this matchup, should be a proper toss-up. Flying Tuna has to be the one to overperform, though, and pull back 72k. Certainly doable. It's not the biggest advantage, and it is doable for him. He needs it, though, or he's in the loser's bracket next week.
Hopes and prayers coming through Flying Tuna's odds in this match, as it seems like no matter how well he performs, his opponent is just that much stronger. But this map is arguably one of the biggest staples in terms of Flying Tuna's skill set, but doesn't change the fact that you're against Malashevsky, who in fact is also stapled on this skill set. Both of these guys are 2 of the best tournament tech players on the planet. This will hopefully be a incredible display. Whether or not we'll see Flying Tuna or Malashevsky triumph it through, I just look forward to seeing an exciting map. A small little blip there from Flying Tuna at the very, very beginning, but early growing pains are going to be expected. The hard part is still yet to come. And expecting to then see where the stakes matter at this particular section. Now, that being said, this only miss from Flying Tuna might be a big stim for him if Malashevsky can hold on to this late combo game and refuse to falter during the harder mid-sections of the map. Once this true difficulty starts to kick in, it's not going to stop. Whether or not the styling changes or not, you are going to be hit for a long time. About 2.5 minutes of non-stop tech-controlled difficulty. As Kia comes through, it's about to begin.
And here we go. Early break from Tuna, but time to make it up. But Malashevsky's choice to make here. 99% still, 98.8 on the side of Tuna. As we get into this, the accuracy, of course, is so important. These high SVs, you can't be too cheesy on them because they'll act in a matchup like this. If you cheese them, it ain't going to be enough for you. You can't just combo game it.
Yeah, these chains still very difficult, but still being hit beautifully from both sides. They are neck and neck in terms of accuracy on this combo. Very close, despite that early miss for Flying Tuna. This might still, in fact, be the sting that Flying Tuna is very much afraid of. But down goes Malashevsky, and that's a big miss to look out for here. Flying Tuna now a chance to bring this back in his hands. Still the accuracy dead even, but now the combo is what matters. Combo is king as the chains continue to go through. Similar here is this map to the World Cup 2024 Grand Final number 4 in Lifeform Disintegration Ray, where it's just non-stop difficulty no matter what. In fact, shares a mapper in a nude on this, but Flying Tuna is going to go down before he can build that advantage, and suddenly fear has been stricken in as Malashevsky's back on track.
Right at the end of that stream section, so unfortunate, so much good work done there, but now Malashevsky's in the lead again. These doubles here are another very nasty part of this. The aim control is pretty serious, but both players navigate it well.
Oh no, there's just no time. Just feels like there's no time. Malashevsky's just not letting go. Even if that miss midway through could have been the thing that gave a Tuna a chance, it's just not going to happen. Flying Tuna can only soar so far into the air until finally someone will strike him down, smack him to the ground. As Malashevsky will be the one to climb further ahead. He may miss, but I don't think there's going to be enough time unless we see a collapse towards the very end. I think this is done and dusted. Reminder, ladies and gentlemen, even if Flying Tuna wins the map, he still needs to win by over 73,000 score. And so although the lead is there, there's only 25 seconds left. Is there hope here? Is there density? There's plenty of notes to come through with streams on top of that, but Malashevsky's not letting go, showing no mercy even if he's on the back foot. You need so much more from Flying Tuna, but it's not enough, as it seems like a flawless set is on the cards here. As Malashevsky will take down the reigning champion of Lazer Grand Arena and is the one to guarantee himself top 3 into the winners finals to face down Xylus.
It is a map win for Flying Tuna, but it is going to be the sweep in the sets. Seed number 1 is going to be in the winners final. It is Malice versus Xylus in that winners final. Flying Tuna will take his chances in the losers bracket. He'll be back again, I'm sure. But
no doubt.
Absolutely emphatic here from the Polish superstar. What a performance.
I feel like there's only so much now I can say about him, but the guy's just been unstoppable in this tournament. And this time, again, being no exception, having gone down against the likes of Flying Tuna, going against the likes of Flying Tuna and still triumphing in such convincing fashion. What else can you really say about his run in this tournament so far? Again, immense respect from both players, knowing how truly great they both are as individuals. It just doesn't change how powerful Mashevsky's been in this tournament. Flying Tuna with such great scores, in all honesty. No score here below 606,000, but still multiple scores here over 700,000, 800,000 as well. It's just not enough. Even so,
the sorts of maps we've been seeing, we did see a decent amount of gimmick. We saw a decent amount of mechanics in this as well, particularly in the tapping side. But it pretty much all went the way of Malice. Aside from that No Mod 4, which was so incredibly close. I'm glad we saw a lot of the gimmick. I kind of wished we saw the No Mod 3. You know, it's that's a very heavy precision map, low AR, and totally appreciate that. But we got to see 2 of the gimmicks. We got to see the depth map, the laser mod. And you know what? I'll take it. I will take it. That was sick. What a showcase on that depth mod from both of them. They both set great scores for that. I wonder if anyone will get even close this weekend to those.
And with that, it's important to notice that it's not over for both of these guys either. Mashevsky is going up now against Xylus, the one to have taken down mrekk previously. You know, again, who do you fear more? The best player of all time or the one that beat him in LGA? You'll have to wait and see. But that being said, that's going to be a great matchup alongside Flying Tuna against mrekk, which is, my goodness, what a fire matchup that's going to be. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure for a fact you do not want to miss those ones. But until then, you'll have to wait, because I believe the next map we're going to be seeing is in a while, 18 hours. So you guys have a solid day to pipe down from how exciting these last few maps have been. With that being said, that's going to be it from us at LGA for today. Thank you so much, all 1,100 of you who tuned in to watch this match. It's an absolute pleasure to be casting with you guys. But much love to everybody here. And thank you so much, Doomsday, as well, for casting. Thank you for Trust for streaming. Thank you to Yaze for refereeing. It's been an honor. And that's been it. I'm Sad Shiva, joined by Doomsday. Any closing notes before we go?
No, I think that's all good. I wonder if there might be some tweaks to the schedule considering Xylus, but I'm not too sure. I don't know, but at the moment, we are done here until tomorrow morning. Keep an eye out, of course, on Osu Live, because you never know. But other than that, it's been good to get a cast with you again on Osu Live, Shiva. It feels like it's been a while.
Yeah.
Last time, you know, OWC was the last time, so thanks for the cast, mate.
It's been too long, my friend. It's been all too long. Always nice to cast with you again. But yeah. That is it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, so keep an eye out on the scheduling, because we are raising a few question marks internally about exactly what the schedule will be, because we have to talk about potential reschedules about the players now that they know who they're against. But keep updated on either the sheet or the official tournament wiki. You should be able to get updated schedule on that, as well as just checking out the stream every now and again just to be certain. But ladies and gentlemen, until then, thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've been Shiva, joined by Doomsday once again. Thank you, Doomsday, for casting with me. It's always lovely to be with you. And it's time to go, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you guys next time. It should be tomorrow for your next match, guaranteed. But yeah, have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Take care.